So why don't you pony up a little and get in the game and quit complaining on Twitter that Texas Tech fans are mean now.
Welcome into Red Raider Recon, brought to you by Cantex Roofing. I'm Clint Scott. He's Rob Bro.
This week we're very excited to be previewing the Orange Bowl.
That already happened.
It didn't happen.
It already happened.
It didn't happen.
It already happened.
It didn't. That was a
go
dream.
well. You have to get past this.
That was a dream. It had
to
to have been a dream. The offense is going to score in the Orange Bowl, Clint.
Sure, buddy.
It's going to happen again. We're done.
There's no way around it. It was a dismal showing in the Orange Bowl as the Red Raiders were shut out against the Ducks. Despite the defense's best efforts, Texas Tech fell 23-0 in their first college football playoff appearance. It marked the final game for several key players like Jacob Rodriguez, David Bailey, and Baron Morton. It doesn't mar, however, the accomplishments from this season. Highlights included a 12-2 record, hosting College Game Day, and of course bringing home the program's first Big 12 championship. The season might be over, but in the current day and age, college football is year-round. The transfer portal is officially open before we even crown a national champion. Regardless of coaches' opinions on how the schedule lines up, they must deal with it and replenish their programs. The Red Raiders, they've already been doing some serious work. They've picked up big names like Kansas State linebacker Austin Romaine, San Diego State edge rusher Trey White, and Cincinnati quarterback Brendan Sorsby. Joey McGuire, James Blanchard, and the Red Raiders aren't done either. Several players are still being predicted as future Red Raiders, plus there's the unknown of players having until the 16th to enter their names in the pool. There's also a 5-day window for players who were in the national championship. You'll have to keep an eye on outgoing players as well. Tech has already seen names like Cheta Ofili, TJ West, and Kelby Valson enter their names, with playing time most likely being the biggest factor. There's still a lot of moving pieces before we see what the roster will look like. Could there be any other headline-making entries that pop up along the way?
All right, unfortunately, the Orange Bowl did happen, and Texas Tech did get shut out. And already, I'm incredibly tired of talking about that game. I was tired Friday morning when we were on the end of the bench. We've done it twice more now as we're recording on Tuesday after the Thursday Orange Bowl. But here's the bottom line, Clint. And not the bottom line with Choice Woodman, Chris Sneed, and Jamie Lent that you can hear every weekday on 100.7 The Score from 12 to 3. The bottom line is that the entire conversation about the transfer portal, the offensive players you're getting, the entire set of previews we do this offseason for the Red Raider Recon, all of the previews leading up, every big offensive game you might have in 2026 will all go back to, but can you score on a team like Oregon? So whether we like it or not, that is tied with us for another year until maybe New Year's Day of 2027 when you get to prove that you can do something like that. Because your non-conference, once again, the best team is Oregon State. And the conference slate could or won't be better than this year. And I don't know that the team Texas Tech has put together so far is going to be better than this year's team defensively. Offensively, it looks like you're certainly swinging big. But this is now just a part of the conversation for potentially another 365 days.
There's really no such thing in the transfer portal as like an overcorrect, because that's a bad thing, right? You spin the wheel way too much to the right because you were drifting in the other lane and now you're in the ditch. But you saw just an incredible overhaul with the defense. And you brought in some offensive pieces too. And I think you brought in some pieces that helped the program and also helped you win a Big 12 championship.
Yeah. I mean, Terrence Carter and Reggie Virgil were 1,200 yards of offense you brought in.
And you improved your offensive line with some portal pieces too.
Sure,
like,
Howard Sampson.
You're still trying to get to that, like, I saw someone on our Monday show, like, look, all I want from the transfer portal is an offensive line that was as good as your defensive line.
Yeah, that's all?
Yeah, that's it? Okay. Just go to that tree and just pluck those apples. But, like, from the severity of what you did defensively, and that was over a whole season, defensively a couple of seasons ago, to what you did and went after and how you were able to perform last season, I think you're going to see that from one game. And you already knew you were going after a quarterback, right? That was before you lay an egg in the Orange Bowl. You knew you were going after a quarterback. But, I mean, I think you're really going after some explosive receivers. I do think you're going to add, we'll talk about all this, but you're going to add at least in offensive linemen in the mix. We also knew that just from eligibility, but I would think a couple of pieces. My guess is you're going to try to be, as much as you like, hey, we need to cause pressure and cause havoc, let's go do that and be good on the back end. I think you're going to do that from an explosive standpoint offensively and hopefully fix some of the things that did, give you some pushback throughout the season, even before you got to the Orange Bowl, like red zone, short yardage, things like that. But man, I'm with you. It's going to keep coming back to, regardless of how much success you might have next year. And you know what? You earned it. You earned it.
You earned it.
You earned it.
You won every Big 12 game by 20 this year. You could win every Big 12 game by 40 next year. Mm-hmm. You could go 3-0 in the non-con and win 180-0. And the conversation will be, can you do it in the playoff? Mm-hmm. Can you do it against the Big Ten team? Can you do it against the SEC team? Because so far, in this portal era that you're really buying into in the last 2 seasons, you have not. And I think Texas Tech's defense absolutely 100% came to play in the playoff. I think that was a national championship effort defensively.
Sure.
It was 13-0 in the fourth quarter. It was one of the worst offensive showings, and I don't think that... I think that was a team effort, execution-wise, offensively.
We don't have to go through the weeds on this. I mean, everybody knows at this point what happened. We've already broken it down a bunch on shows. But if you went into that game, like you knew, we talked about this on Red Raider Recon, how good their secondary was. You knew how frustrating it could be to go up against like Tatum Tuioti on the defensive line. And we also like talking to Chris Level before the game on our pregame show. We all talked about him, Jamie and I. Your quarterback's going to have to make some plays in this, and it's just everything that you needed didn't happen. And it's not that it just didn't happen; it went completely in the other direction. But like it starts with Barron. Your running game wasn't great. I don't think your running backs had the best day. You didn't block well in the run game. Your receivers were a no-show. It was not always a great call from the coaching side. It was just everybody that could play a factor in a mess did. But even if you fix a couple of those things, even if you're better in the running game, even if you are seeing a little bit more separation, it really doesn't matter if you're seeing what you saw at the quarterback spot. And Barron, I don't want to hammer him. I hate that that's what most Red Raider fans are like the surface level are going to remember him for. It's not fair. He's done a lot of great things for your program that you needed. And is like, if you believe in the phrase Red Raider for life, there's your guy. I mean, he fought through injuries. Yes, he got paid through NIL, but he didn't like hold the staff hostage. He didn't make it all about him. He didn't just completely upset the system. He made it very easy to transition and get some of those big pieces. It's like how we talk about NFL rosters, and he doesn't get credit for that. That's fine.
He also stuck it through another year of bringing Tyler Shuck back instead of going to youth.
Yes, and there were people coming after him that wanted him.
Yeah.
That's me. I could go on a rant for that. I sincerely hope he stayed off social media over the past few days. But I think it doesn't matter if you have that sort of game at the quarterback spot. And it looked like, Rob, like he had learned that offense a week ago and then was still seeing the same level of defense that he did against Oregon. Like it just like had to get thrown in.
Yeah, you're also averaging 1 yard a carry, and your offensive line, who competed with some pretty good defensive lines, just looked lost. So, just season retrospective, just quickly, because there's no time to do it anymore. Mm-hmm. The off season is here. You're 48 hours into the portal already, and Indiana, who's still playing football, is just as active as you are in the portal. So there's no rest for the wicked here. And money don't grow on trees. So I do think that...
Shout out Cage the Elephant.
Thank you. I think Texas
I got
Tech's...
bills to pay, I got mouths to feed.
Texas Tech's defense was incredible this year.
Check.
I think the offense was serviceable. I think heading into next year, and you're kind of doing the season retrospective and the season preview all in one episode because the portal has already started. I think we've already seen you're going to try to have an elite unit on both sides of the ball and not try to be led by one direction. I think last year you overcorrected.
What about in sync?
I think last year, you want to be more in sync here. And I think if you're looking for a temperature, it'd be 98 degrees. I think that you took the LF. Oh well. LFO?
You could be looking. All right. You could be looking for the top of the portal, or FCS level. You can find some in the back street.
Sure.
Some boys like that.
Yeah, I think so.
And you know what? Some guys are going to have to grow up. They were boys.
Yeah.
They're going to have to be men next year.
Sure. Yeah, boys to men. And I think if you're looking for town or something else.
Sorry.
I think, right? I was really trying to work a Belle Biv DeVoe in there. I think that would have really sent it over the top. Look, Texas
You're going to find any Belle Biv DeVoe you can in the portal.
Look, they're not the new kids on the block anymore. I do think that in year two, right, you're here, right? You've announced yourself. You're a big money player. I think you're going to try to match that offensively. Defensively, you held people to less than 14 points a game. If you're a touchdown worse next year, you'd still be the second best defense at Texas Tech since 2009, I think. And one of the best defenses since 2096, whatever it is, going all the way back. So you have some wiggle room defensively to take a step back and still be way ahead of where you were. I think offensively, points per game is not a metric you want to look at, really. It's that consistency, and it's scoring when you need to. What do you need to do that? You need a strong quarterback, an experienced quarterback. Check. And I think something you were missing this year was a wide receiver one. I don't think you had that go-to automatic catch, first down, big play when you need it kind of guy. Now, you had guys who provided that at times. I think Terrence Carter provided that at times. I think Caleb Douglas provided that at times. I think Coy Aiken had a couple. Reggie Virgil had a couple. But it was a team effort to get those plays. And I think Jacoby Williams on several third and longs was the guy that you went to and got the big play. But you need a guy. You need an alpha offensively. And Terrence Carter, I think, coming back is huge. But this Cam Coleman visit,
it's massive.
That is going to be happening. Now, one thing about doing the portal episode, a lot of this could be old by the time you're watching it. But the Cam Coleman type, the wide receiver one, is something I think you're definitely trying to find in the portal.
I think that was something that was one of the more surprising things, because I agree with you. Like, you look and Caleb Douglas didn't have ending numbers that were like too far off of what I thought. I think I said 900, and he was like 850. So I was like, well, those are pretty good numbers, especially when you put them in with what Virgil had and what Aiken had and what everybody as a whole.
It was like
as a
850,
whole,
600,
it
600,
was
500.
balanced, and balance isn't a bad thing, but I'm with you. You just never felt like you had consistently a guy. I do think Terrence Carter's injury doesn't help that. I think Baron Morton missing time, I don't think that helps things either.
Right.
But those are just, in the end, those are excuses, right? And you could say, too, well, some of those guys' numbers, they could be bigger if you weren't playing halves, right? But I'm with you. It's not the ending number that matters. It's you had the capability of being explosive. You had the ability to push around people, but you it never felt like you got it really in sync. And it looked like you were heading that way.
Yeah.
pull it in sync again. It looked like you were heading that way from BYU to BYU. It's just never. I still think there was another gear to hit, and
They said that all year.
But the talent was there. That's just why that was so confusing.
Yeah. I don't know that it was. I think you had
I thought the talent was there.
I think you were exactly what your talent was. Not in the Orange Bowl. I think you were more talented than 0 points in the Orange Bowl. But I think your offense did about what it was capable of this year.
It's like, can I ask you just a quick yes or no question that's been driving me crazy?
Yes. Was that the one?
Yeah. Thanks. All right, next. Was that remotely the best performance you could have had in the Orange Bowl offensively?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd think that'd be simple, right? That's why I said yes or no question.
Right.
It's like, oh, so you told you couldn't compete with Oregon. No, you were bad. And that's the thing. Again, you have to live with this performance, right?
Yes.
And until you find, hopefully in another year, you get a chance to wipe some of that away.
Yeah.
Until then, you got to live with it. But man, that has just been. It's like, yeah, see, we told you that's all you could muster. And it's do you believe that? That's crazy.
All right, you ready for some three takes? Three thoughts on the
three thoughts.
Tuesday? Wednesday? Thursday? I'm going to let you go first because I think my three thoughts will probably align with your three thoughts. So let's do a little back and forth here.
Okay, first thought. It will be hard to be just as good as you were defensively last year.
Yeah.
But you are already doing your best to replicate the recipe. Like what you've seen with some of the interior defensive linemen who you're going after, who you've already got, like Trey White, which was a big piece. You're looking at guys like Wendell Gregory. All of these guys that you either have or are like predicted to get, they're causing a lot of pressure, but can also just find ways to be destructive without sending blitzes. The recipe, and Austin Romaine coming in as a true like plug and play for Jacob Rodriguez. I don't know if he's going to have the same turnover number, but like all of these things that you've gone after, it's going to be hard, like you already said, to be like a 10-point whatever it was in Big 12 play. But you're finding really good pieces that is going to have another high ceiling that is the same kind of DNA that you had this year, and I think that's important.
Yeah, along the same lines, just in a different font here, you are throwing darts at the defensive line again. Mm-hmm. And whether that's the big name that's not committed yet quite out of the ACC, I saw today that he might have not taken a visit he was expected to take, so that seems to be good news for a visit he's already taken. But you already have a Power 5 guy from Washington, Bryce Butler. You already have a defensive lineman from a lower level, LaVenture. And then you already have an edge from San Diego State. It's just power and numbers right now. Mm-hmm. I don't think you've gotten the David Bailey yet. I kind of would align Trey White in between Romello Height and David Bailey. He does have production. He had 12 and a half sacks in a single year at San Diego State. Then I think he had 7 last year. So 19 and a half in 2 seasons. He has the production, but he also has a lot of just the pressure rate and that kind of stuff that you're looking for. And how does the best pass rusher on a team translate to a team that has maybe 3 of him? Because that's what you found out this year with Romello Height. He was always the best pass rusher on his team. What does it look like when he's across from another great pass rusher? Well, it turned into a career year. So that's what you're hoping for, but you are throwing darts at the defensive line. And that is going to be one of your calling cards, hopefully, in the next 5 to 10 years.
I know you didn't mean it this way, but you said, like, I haven't found your David Bailey. We need, like, a PSA. It was an awesome thing that you got David Bailey when you got him, and you got some of the guys like Lee Hunter and Romello Height all on your defensive front, and then you hit on all of them. And you can say that for Skylar Gil Howard too, but I think that there were some questions in the fan base about Gil Howard just jumping up from a level, and I understand that. Same thing with like AJ Holmes, kind of quiet, right? But the 3 big ones that everybody was telling you, that's a great get. You're not just going to always have the day. And I know what's going to happen. Eventually, we're going to run into a year where the numbers really dip, and I'm not even saying like you're bad, but you're just not elite maybe as a pass rushing team, or you're not like truly dominant. You're just good, and you're going to see. I know this is going to happen. You're going to see this question on chat lines. Well, why don't we just go get another David Bailey?
Yeah, there's not another David Bailey.
Who, by the way, you didn't even know was going to be in your class.
Yeah.
Just because he was on a different timeline with the Stanford firing. So, anyways, this is my PSA.
All right, second thought.
Second thought, the Orange Bowl put extra pressure to nail the quarterback spot in the portal. Now, it felt like, again, we were talking about this before you even played this game, that Brendan Sorsby was going to be your guy. We both loved the fit. I think, everybody, depending on the publication that you're looking at, he's either the top quarterback in the portal class or at least top 3. Like, he's no lower than that. Everybody's telling you, hey, he's a guy who's ready to go. Shout out Tim Tadlock, Lake Ready, right? I think even knowing that, and then even before knowing the back and forth you would kind of see with, I don't know if it's a game of chicken or what it ended up being with LSU and his agent, all that weird stuff, and, Sam Levitt's now coming to look, like everything that happened. You saw that performance, and it just went like, man, you have really got to nail the quarterback spot in a way that he is not just plug and play, but is a difference maker and can elevate that position.
Yeah, I think when healthy, throwing the ball, Sorsby and Morton are fairly similar.
Sure.
I think Sorsby can make all the throws just like Baron Kidd, but the difference is just the playmaking ability in the pocket. And whether that's stepping up, stepping out, or running off out of the pocket and taking off and scrambling. I mean, that's 500 yards and 9 touchdowns that just were not available to this year's offense.
Yeah, I'll save my thoughts on him. That's a very surface level.
Certainly.
Yeah.
My second thought, similar.
Second thought.
After the Orange Bowl, you're not going to have questions of talent offensively.
Yeah.
And it is interesting, the wide receiver room, beyond the freshmen you have coming in, like Friendships, Chase Campbell. I called him the wrong name the other day, and I do that, and these names get stuck in my head the wrong way. Chase Campbell.
Did you call him K. Dickey? What was it? Calvin?
Caleb. Caleb Dickey. Anyways, one of those C names. And then the Leighton Stone, the Michael Deaver from Lubbock, those 3 Lubbock guys. You have some other guys that have been here the last 2 years or have come in this last year. But Kelby Valson, out. Mm-hmm. West, out. Jackson, out. Harrison, out. And now you have Coy Aiken.
Check.
Mike Hudson.
Check.
And a bunch of unproven.
Mm-hmm.
And you've added 2 in the portal. You might add 3, 4 more receivers, including hopefully Cam Coleman from Auburn.
Yeah.
Who is visiting and could go to one of 3 Texas schools. I don't think the money is the difference in that. You're going to have to really convince him with quarterback and otherwise and facilities, even though people will just say it's the money if he comes to Texas Tech. But are we saying A&M and Texas don't have money?
Okay, if Pete Thamel says, like, hey, Brendan Sorsby was blown away by the facilities.
Oh, that's my third thought.
And, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
But yes.
I'm excited about your third thought.
Okay, third thought.
Third thought, brother, you're not going anywhere. I knew, it was a great tweet. It's after the Orange Bowl. We're like, this feels awful. If you are new, if you just watch Red Raider Recon, if you've never listened to any of our stuff on Double T 97.3 and you don't know who Jamie Lent is, check him out. A very vocal guy, big brash guy, very loud.
From New York.
We're there in the booth in Miami. We've got like the windows open there at Hard Rock Stadium. And obviously we're just feeling like everybody, this is terrible. This is horrible. I've never heard a window slam shut harder. And he just goes, I can't listen to this. Because they're not even near the presentation side. It's just, they're out there celebrating, like rolling the confetti, and it's like, I'll open this back up and we start our post-game show, which was like an hour away. That was the embodiment of just everybody. I mean, it was anger, disappointment, whatever. Pick a bad emotion, and it was there. And then you saw this. Cody Campbell. Hate to see it end this way, but this was a special and historic season for Texas Tech football. Love this special group of seniors and appreciate everything they've done for our university and for our community. Thank you. This season is just the beginning. We will continue to build, continue to develop. We will double down on resources, commitment, and resolve. Long live the Matadors. I read that on our post-game show because it wasn't that like all of a sudden you have questions about the coaching staff. No, they're going to put in the work, right? Everything that they have been good at, you would think that they're just going to keep doing, and then some of the things that they're trying to improve upon, they're going to try to improve on those things. But I immediately saw questions like, is this going to kill our momentum? Is this going to kill our recruiting? Is this going to have transfer portal targets kind of shy away because of one performance? And my immediate thought on my own was just like, no, that's not going to happen. But then to see, whether you like it or not, to see kind of the money face, if you will, that is a bunch of guys, by the way.
Yeah, Dustin Womble quote tweeted that and doubled down as well.
Yes, and that's something like he's been the loudest, he's been the most vocal, which is good to have like a guy, but obviously it is a group effort over there of leading the charge. It was like, okay, hopefully that settles some of those fears, and now you're already seeing, I mean, even from that game to now, the work you've already done in the portal, and so hopefully that kind of put that fire out. And I understood. It was an hour after the game.
Yeah. It was nice to see, though.
Yeah, I think he knew what he was doing.
Yeah. And the portal opened the next day. He knew what he was doing. And maybe those recruits needed to see that they weren't backing off. That if you want to make some money, come to Texas Tech. By the way, third thought. Historically, Texas Tech did not recruit well. Through Cliff Kingsbury and Matt Wells, you were 30s at your best nationally, but really 40s, 50s, 60s. I think you were at 76th when Matt Wells got fired. Nationally, class rank. Immediately got to 30 with Joey McGuire before the influx of NIL cash. Since the influx of NFL cash, NFL level cash, NIL cash, you have seen an uptick in your recruiting. I am not arguing that it's not all about the money here at Texas Tech. But the buy-in and culture that was obvious in this season's team, and the facilities that are second to none, and maybe tied with some, but not second to anyone, do matter. And if you're going to get an offer for $2 million from 6 schools, and you choose Texas Tech, don't just assume that Texas Tech paid 3 to get them away from somebody else. There are things in Lubbock that are a draw for a college football player. By the way, that's more true today than it was 5 years ago. That's more true today than it was 2 years ago. That same sentence will be more true 2 years from now than it is today. That same sentence will be much more true 5 years from now than it is today. You are on a trajectory. And for these national voices to respond to Pete Thamel's tweet that Brendan Sorsby liked the culture and facilities and completely dismiss those two things as a factor, when the tweet did not say the only factor, didn't even say a factor. He just said, I like the facilities. And everyone with big followings is saying, oh, can we just be real here? It's only the money. If that's your attitude at your program, you're not doing enough. By the way, Kansas State fans, I defended you for 2 years saying that I didn't want every man a whiner to catch on. But you guys are pathetic. Pathetic. Yes, Texas Tech spending more money than anyone else in the Big 12. Well, guess what? It worked this year. And they hadn't done it for 20 years, and that's why they weren't winning Big 12 championships. But now they are. They are committed. They're all in, and they're going to win the Big 12 maybe 5 times in the next 7 years. And that's generous, hopefully. I think Texas Tech is in a real position to dominate this conference. And if that saddens you, if you think Texas Tech fans have changed and gotten arrogant and just are mean now, suck it up, whiners. All these Big 12 fans that are saying that Texas Tech made the Big 12 look bad in the Orange Bowl, they were there. You weren't. How about you get off your ass and do something about it instead of complaining about what Texas Tech is doing? How about you try to meet us at the top instead of dragging Texas Tech down? How about that, Big 12 fans? Because the only thing that made the Big 12 look bad this year is that Texas Tech kicked your butts all up and down the field by 20 every game, and that's why BYU didn't get in the playoff, because the rest of the Big 12 was so bad. So why don't you pony up a little and get in the game? And quit complaining on Twitter that Texas Tech fans are mean now, that they don't know how to deal with success. The fact is, we're dealing with success, and you aren't. Okay? And it's our first time, and next year will be our second time, and the year after that will be our third time. All right? Email.
You know, one of this pair tried to tell the other one about Kansas State fans years
God, they're
ago.
the worst.
Years ago, but didn't get listened to.
They are so lame.
You know, that was... Let's wrap it up right there. I enjoyed that immensely. That was very satisfying to see. If I can circle back.
Yeah.
To the Thamel tweet.
It's innocuous.
It's for clicks. This is why people respond to this. Those
There was a comment to the other story. It was just innocuous.
Those national heads that share it to get a rise don't always believe that. That's not. They're doing it because they know it's going to anger a very active Texas Tech social media.
Well, yes,
and
in such cases that happens.
It's also going to get a rise out of insert Oklahoma, Texas,
Sure.
A&M,
Yeah.
SEC team somewhat related to Texas Tech. But it's like, yeah, no blank, Sherlock.
Yeah.
Yes, there's money involved. If you're saying that LSU didn't have the money to spend, also with coming in with Lane Kiffin, who's now trying to kind of bury the thoughts of Ole Miss after what he did to the Rebels and how he handled that situation, while also going into a place that has some of the most pressure of any college football job right now, that also has the resources, and you're saying they weren't willing to. They're not going to spend any money.
They promised Lane Kiffin a $30 million roster plus.
That's what kills me. It's like, yes, everybody that is competing at the highest level is spending money, so where are your difference makers?
Yeah.
And if you say a difference maker, that's where you go, oh, yeah, okay, oh, yeah, it's just money. Yeah. No, yeah, you spent on things past a roster for a reason, and you benefited from it last year, and you're already seeing benefits from this year's class, and hopefully you're going to benefit more. By the way, as we talk right now, again, this will be, you'll see in about 12 hours. Pete Nakos, an expert prediction for Texas Tech to land Kenny Johnson, wide receiver from Pitt. That is a 48-yard reception man, 695 yards and 5 touchdowns this season, 6'1" receiver.
Yeah, that's big time. Mm-hmm. And I don't think he is the last receiver.
I just bring that up because I'm with, the receiver room.
All right.
Is coming.
What's next?
Well, let me just ask you this real quick. What will you remember? If we just do a quick goodbye to this year's team, what are you going to remember about it? Because I have a thought of what you said with like the culture and like that is an allure to outside guys.
I do think that I'll remember.
I will remember you. Oh,
I'll remember just the accuracy, the hit rate of this year's portal.
Yeah.
You're the number one portal class, and Howard Sampson had his deal with penalties, returning, by the way. But he was a top 5 offensive tackle in the Big 12 this year, PFF-wise.
Yeah.
and the second-ranked pass blocker at tackle in the Big 12, behind Jordan Seaton at Colorado, ahead of both first-round tackles at Utah. So I do think that Howard Sampson had a successful year. I think he could be even better next year. And then you didn't miss on anybody defensively. Even Amir Boyd, you got exactly what you wanted out of him. Dante, you got exactly what you wanted out of him. Bryce Pollock was awesome coming back. Obviously, the defensive line. I mean, Skylar Howard gets hurt, and then you bring in an All-American for the rest of the year who earned All-American honors in Anthony Holmes Jr., waiting on his comeback tweet.
Can I have an old school thought just real quick?
So just the hit rate from James Blanchard in year one. I hope at the January 6th episode in 2027 that we're talking about the hit rate.
Storming YouTube. I don't. Maybe this is old school. I don't need. I guess in the portal, everyone you never know.
Yeah.
I don't need the letter. I know other fans do, and I get that.
Yeah.
Until you know one way or the other, I guess I don't need the big production of it.
That's not for us. That's for scouts on the NFL stuff.
Sure.
Like Carmelo Heights out of eligibility, entering the draft. Yeah, if you want to send out a letter, that's fine.
I have another thought on the out of eligibility. That's one of my favorite things to make fun of. I would never mock a relationship with a beloved player to their fans, but everybody, like the ones that are way out of eligibility, there's nothing you can do at this point. And we're just getting back into from the COVID years. Their college career stone cold dead. There's nothing else they can do. And I try appeals, whatever, they're done. And the pinning the letter and saying that with that I have decided to move on. Yeah. It's like if you go to a restaurant and it serves one thing and you're sitting at a table and the waiter still hands you menus and all that you see on it is spaghetti and they go around, what will you have, sir? I'll have the spaghetti. What about you, ma'am? I think I'll try the spaghetti. What about you? I'm feeling adventurous. I'll have the spaghetti. It comes around all to you and you're just
don't need a menu.
I think I'll.
No, I don't.
I think I'll try the spaghetti. I was like, what's good here?
Oh, just what I want.
It's right there. That's what's good here. It's the only thing we have. Anyways, old man tape.
But I think just the hit rate, and then obviously the good times, man.
Just the good times.
Working in sports in Texas Tech's world, just dealing with it all the time. Sometimes it's a beatdown. Mm-hmm. Those Fat Wells years, those Final Cup of Cliff Kingsbury years, it really takes the joy out of being a fan, even in the big moments. It was really easy to be a fan this year with this Texas Tech football team.
You're not going to have it this way, even if you have a great team just year after year after year, and you're bringing in developing freshmen to hopefully juniors and seniors that make huge impacts, while also getting whatever pieces you need from the portal. Hopefully you're getting great team after great team. It's going to be hard to top the likability of this team, which again the personalities have nothing to do with it. You could have just the biggest dorks on the planet or most socially awkward people at every position, and I'm not going to care if you're winning by 20 points, right? Yeah. You just happen to have a bunch of likable guys that wanted to be a part of the community. And this is where I think the culture sets in, because Jacob Rodriguez and Baron Morton were incredibly important to lead their sides of the ball. And I think, these one-year guys, speaking of the likability and the connection and it being easy to root for, I think you have guys like Lee Hunter and Romello Height and David Bailey, Reggie Virgil, whenever they're coming back for a game in the future, I'm imagining them being put on the screen and everyone's going to erupt and applaud them, and it's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to those moments. It comes together when you have, though, the leaders that you had on the team. And this is what's going to be interesting, who turns into that next year. There's nothing that says it has to be a guy that spent the bulk of their career, if not all of their career here, but it's I think it was important for them to be able to show that culture from the player standpoint to the guys you were bringing in, whether they're here for a year or a couple, but also to show guys like John Curry and Ben Roberts, like Cam Dickey, Jacoby Williams, guys like that, what it takes to be that role and be in that role for future guys that are coming in, whether freshmen or transfer portal. So I don't know. I'm with you. It was a thump there at the end, but it was fun. It was just fun. Class leaders, how good can this transfer portal class end up being to you with what we know right now and some pieces that we're guessing at but maybe have a good feeling? How good can this class be?
I don't... man, it's crazy to say just as good as last year's. It'll be top 5 ranked again.
Yeah.
I think you've gotten the top quarterback out of the portal, according to ESPN. Top 2, according to most, systems, analysts. And then you have arguably the best defensive lineman taking visits. You have arguably the best safety taking a visit. You have the number 1 wide receiver taking a visit. Your hit rate last year was so good, I think those guys can say, yeah, I can come to Texas Tech and be an All-American. I can come to Texas Tech and win a conference championship. I can come to Texas Tech and make a lot of money. I can come to Texas Tech and do everything I want to do. And I wish the portal was after April, because after this season, you might be able to come to Texas Tech and have 3 defensive players in the first round of the NFL draft. Mm-hmm. So I think everything that you want to succeed at, you can do at Texas Tech. As they say, from here it's possible. So I think this portal class can be ranked 1 or 2 again.
I already said, obviously it's going to be hard it's going to be almost impossible to bring in the impact you did defensively. And again, the goal is to not have to do that, right? This is why you're bringing in guys like LaDainian Guyton and Felix Ojo and Brewster in 27. That's why you were going after guys like that, so you don't have to do this. But for this year's purpose, it's going to be hard to match the impact defensively. I think you might be able to match it, though, on the offensive side of the ball. If you flip the roles. So that's where I think, I do think that it sounds crazy, but depending on what the offense does and how you're able to stabilize the defense to at least a similar fashion, we could look at this as an even better overall class. You're not going to find the level of talent that you have with David Bailey specifically, but I think you could see just as big of an impact offensively. And you were a top 10 offense. That's the other thing that just is crazy. But again, it goes back to situational offense, and then having hopefully if you're able to bring in Cam Coleman, having a stud like that, and you're going oh man, Terrence Carter was the second option on that team. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And we haven't heard anything about Quentin Joyner, to my knowledge.
Okay, so do we need the announcement or not?
No. Oh wait, I'm fine. I like.
All right, so he's coming back.
Saying.
He's coming back unless he says he's not.
I'm just saying you use the resources that are available, right?
I know. I'm just kidding you. I like the announcements. I want to know.
I didn't say I hated them. I'm okay. It's not like live or die with me. Someone who's like, AJ, please tell us. AJ Holmes, tell us.
I'm just messing with you.
We're dying.
All right.
Also, I love that Austin Romaine was your first commitment. I mean, that was a great starting spot. I was like, all right, we're good.
Yeah. And then Brennan Sorsby. I mean, you got 2 all Big 12 players. It's just, it's funny, really.
To other things, zoinks, of other things past just the money. You talked about seeing maybe 3 first-rounders on the defensive side. It feels like a lock for 2 first-rounders, and then at least a high second-round pick, and we'll see where Jacob Rodriguez falls in. That's something like Trey White said, hey, that was a big thing, was seeing how they were able, and he used the word develop. I guess, add to it, but the way they were able, to me, it's the way they're able to maximize those guys and show off their skills, and seeing the results of where these guys are being projected in the draft, that was a huge thing to him. And that's another thing, That's if you're able to do that. That's just another piece of bringing these guys in. Yes, you're also paying them. No.
If I was a middle linebacker, I want to play and be coached by Showwood.
Yeah. So let's get to Brendan Sorsby. What all, if you're doing the deep dive, what all does he add to the roster? I got this question. It's like an unofficial fan question of the week. It was, tell me 3 things that I should be excited about for Brendan Sorsby.
Yeah, I don't think Brendan Sorsby's a perfect quarterback prospect.
No.
But I think his playmaking outside of the play is a big step up. That's one thing you can look at. And that's down the field and on the ground. Mm-hmm. I think the red zone opportunities to do some quarterback run or some read option, which is really successful in the red zone because it adds a blocker to the field. I think that red zone offense will be better. And there's always the threat that he can run. He had 9 touchdowns last year. So both of those are leg-wise. He also just is getting better every year. Mm-hmm. And he had his best season this year at Cincinnati. He had 2 full seasons at Cincinnati and started games at Indiana. So this is a veteran quarterback who's been in this league, has won some games in this league. I want to see him come to Texas Tech and win the big one. But, late drive situations, you saw him take it down against Cincinnati. Against Kansas, I mean. With Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of the late season struggles that you might hear about from Brendan Sorsby will be dedicated to Scott Satterfield in my mind.
Yeah, so I'll start on the Satterfield stuff because I thought that there were times, even in games that they were competing. Like, I loved their offense. The scheme, yes. The approach from Satterfield at times, It's like, it just literally felt like, we don't really need to score on this. We're just putting an offense out there to put it out there. Yeah. And that's why you saw even early in the season when it like Iowa State's a great example where they were hammering them. They never really pulled away, and Iowa State was never really in that game, but made it look a lot closer, things like that. I just felt like there were some wasted drives, and I don't know why that is, but when you look at the end of the season, some of the losses, this is what I think is a big difference for Sorsby. Like, you didn't need, you could have won, and you did, you could have won 85% of your games with a subpar Baron Morton, right? Subpar quarterback play. There was 2 games you needed your quarterback to help you out, and you lost both of them. Although you still needed him to play well against BYU and Utah, and all that stuff, and you got good quarterback play in the end from Will Hammond. For Cincinnati, they did not win if he was not great. They didn't have anybody on either side of the ball. I guess any position group. Like Golday was great, Corleone's a great player. They had some offensive line pieces, but they didn't have a steady enough group to pick him up if he was average or subpar. That's going to be different with this roster, especially in Big 12 play.
It's a Dampier conversation from last year.
Yeah.
That New Mexico was asking him to be Superman, and he had to overplay a lot of his, things. That's why he threw so many interceptions at his previous school. We came in and didn't need to do that at Utah, and you saw a lot better Devin Dampier. I think Brendan Sorsby could be in the same situation. You're not asking him to be Superman here. Mm-hmm. Now, would you like to put on the cape every once in a while if you need him to?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he can.
He's bringing the cape, but you don't expect that from him every single time.
He's walking in a suit, and he's waiting to see if he needs to step in a phone booth.
Not that. Don't quote me that Brendan Sorsby's Superman.
He's not Superman. Wow.
I think he is an upgrade. I think he's a very good quarterback. I want to see him perform in some big games because he does have some red flags. I think Nebraska, Utah, some of those big moments for Cincinnati he did not show up in. But overall, I think he is a very good add. especially if you're adding some of the pieces you think you're adding on this offense.
And I think
the pieces
and
that you
I
already
think
have.
he's a big piece of why you were able to keep some guys around, and also why you are attractive to some offensive pieces.
Yeah.
That's my defense of the end of his. The reason why I'm excited about him, reasons. I'll go 3-1 of least excited to most excited. He's bringing a chip on his shoulder. He's always played that way, and I think when you were at your best, you were a team that played with a chip on their shoulder, even when you were just waxing people across the floor. So I love that personality.
He's got a little bit of an edge.
Yeah, I love that personality trait is coming in, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
The second thing is the skill set. Like it is the arm. It is his ability. And you're seeing Cincinnati fans will say, yeah, he was great at picking apart his own, but good luck when they play in man defense. Again, you're going to have better weapons here that will help with maybe some of those deficiencies. Because again, I agree with you. He's not a perfect quarterback. There's not, in my mind, there's never going to be a quote unquote perfect quarterback in the transfer portal class. You're going to have some that you hit and maximize on, like a Fernando Mendoza, but there's not a perfect. It's hard to find a perfect quarterback in college football, right?
Yeah.
And those transcendent guys, those like Trevor Lawrences that are Andrew Lucks that are like, that's an NFL guy from day one. Those guys don't even always work out. But like those guys are usually sticking around their programs.
Yeah.
That's my expectation anyways. But for Sorsby, if you were like worried about, sometimes the man coverage, again, you're going to have, at least the goal is to have guys that can, make a lot more separation on the field in their routes. And even then, when you hear it's the bitter Cincinnati side that are making it seem like anytime they're in man defense, he's always throwing it into like double coverage where the safety has help, or like he's always under, and that's just not the case.
Right.
That is absolute rage over there.
Cope.
The thing I'm most excited about, you mentioned his mobility. For me, the reason it's mobility in a physical manner.
Yes.
And he's been able to hold up. And if you look at short yardage situations, if you look at red zone situations that you weren't always good at, going into I think he fits really well into what Mac Leftwich wants to do offensively. That's where you're going to see, I think, the biggest impact next year.
Yep.
Because you are adding another piece that defenders actually have. Really, you're doing two pieces, right? Like, and then I get like, what was one of the offensive plays that you think people were the most upset about in the Orange Bowl? I'd say that
The sacks and the interception.
sacks and the interception, and then I would say play call wise would be the 4th and short, where and we've seen that this year, and it's worked this year, right? Direct snap to Jacoby Williams, Cam Dickey's the lead blocker, you're running Baron Morton in motion, and I understand, hey, in a game that you're not really blocking well in the run game, you're essentially saying, yep, we're running it right here, and we're taking away another dimension that could be there. With Brendan Sorsby, now you can give it to somebody in the backfield. You can have him as a big runner, and you can also use his arm. And then also if you're using his arm, this is where, he can have a little bit of, like your Superman cape you're talking about. He can create if you need him to, and that's 4 different things where it felt like you had 2 different things you could do out of short yardage situations this year, and goal situations. So I think that's where you'll see the biggest difference at the quarterback spot this year.
All right, give me 3 positions or players you want to add to this class. Just like high priority positions or players.
More offensive line. That's
Specifically a run mauling guard.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you're in on the ECU guard. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you had a prediction for him yet?
No.
I haven't.
But he did visit.
Yeah. I would go interior offensive line, but if you add a tackle, I mean, I'm pumped that Sampson's back. I think you're in a really good spot, but competition's not a bad thing by any means.
Yep.
And then let's go. I keep on adding pass rushers.
Yeah.
Keep adding pass rushers.
Interior, outside, yeah.
And then last but not least, I would go, since you just gave me 3, still receivers. As many playmakers as you can find.
Wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
I want the outside, down the field threat, and also a guy who could break off a slant on 3rd down whenever you need him to.
If you gave me 4, which you didn't, I'm just popping through positions. If you get an experienced safety, I wouldn't be upset.
Those would be the 4 I would say, and everything else is cool.
Yeah.
Like if it was Coy Perch, Cam Coleman, the ECU guard and the defensive tackle, what is it, Georgia Tech?
Wake Forest.
And then Wendell Gregory. If you only got those 5 out of the portal and that was it, I would be completely like overjoyed, over the moon. I don't know if you'll go 5 for 5 there. If you did go 5 for 5 there, I think you're in a good spot. All right. Who leaving do you wish could have stayed and either developed or just continued on that trajectory? And who do you think on the roster right now might leave with the portal entrance?
Oh, man. So, number 1, wish could have stayed, would have stayed, Cheta Ofili.
That's my number 1 is too.
If I'm going to be honest, I think if that's not your number 1, or at least one of the first names out of your mouth, I'm like...
Yeah. I think him and Kelby Valson are the 2 that I would look at. I think the rest you just hadn't really seen yet.
Well, Kelby Valson, TJ West are high on that list. I think even like an experienced guy, this is less, so this is where you're starting to find the separation. Like a Mohorn or Dylan Spencer, they would have found a spot. It wouldn't have been a starting spot.
Right.
And this is why it's the playing time thing. I'm really excited excited is the wrong word. I'm interested to see where Ofili goes. I think he's going to have a great career. I think he's going to land somewhere. You would think if it's for playing time, where he's going to see playing time immediately, and I'm curious to see how big of an impact early he can make. It's just that's a guy that not only Coach McGuire was excited about. I mean, the measurables are just jump off the page. Insane athletic freak. But you had guys last year like David Bailey and Romello Height, like when we're talking to them throughout the summer, or like, hey, who are some of the young guys? Every single time you ask that to a defensive lineman, they would say Ofili.
Yeah. All right, on the roster, I've got 2 names if you just want me to go first.
So, could be leaving with who you're bringing in is how you worded it.
Yeah.
I'm curious about some of the speaking of the offensive line, I'm curious about some of the offensive linemen. I don't know. I think you've had about, I guess it's not the biggest wide receiver exit you could have because there's still some names that could technically exit. You think it's going to be Micah? No. You think it's going to be Coy?
Now, let me preface this because I think you're putting words in my mouth. I don't want any of these players to leave.
Yeah.
But I think if there was a player on the roster...
I didn't say you did want it.
You kind of did. You kind of. I don't think he's going to leave.
He just wouldn't have been first on my list or high on my list of who I thought it could be.
Yeah, how I worded it, who do you think might or who would you hate left that you're bringing in positions that I think wide receiver is a position of need that you want to overhaul. And if that means you're bringing in 2 receivers already and you're predicted for the pick guy and potentially bringing in Cam Coleman, if those 4 receivers come in, Coy is not going to play as much as he did the past 2 years. Mm-hmm. Does Coy look elsewhere? That would be my question. And then similarly, Jaden Cofield is a guy who's played a lot in the last 2 years. He'll be heading into year 3. You're bringing a lot of defensive tackles. Would that prompt him to maybe look elsewhere? Because those 2 guys could start and play and be huge pieces for a lot of other rosters. So what is their motivation? Do they want to be here and win back-to-back Big 12 titles and be in the first Texas Tech roster to win a playoff game, to compete for a national championship? Or do they want to go play every down somewhere? That's just a conversation that I was just kind of broaching. I don't think they're going to leave.
Well, I mean,
but those would be the 2 positions where you're like, oh, you're bringing a lot of guys in there, or is everyone going to stay?
It's open till the 16th, right? And yep. I wonder. We'll get to the fan question of the week, and here's your hint: it's about numbers. The original number being 7 to 10. Well, part of that is like, okay, that's before you know, and I think
you're already at 8, by the way.
And you could have some where you go, Coach McGuire said this, like we have a pretty good feel of who we think is leaving. And I think he specifically was talking about the portal, and that's not just the draft decision guys, which for the most part, the draft decision guys you're seeing stay, like the true, not like, hey, we're fighting for a 5-5 Caleb Douglas type, but like Mike Burlock and Howard Sampson, Terrence Carter. You're seeing more, yes, we want to stay here and be a part of this, than...
Right.
And not that if they had left for the draft, like, well, it's not that we didn't want to be a part of it, whatever, that conversation. But that doesn't mean you still don't see maybe some surprises. And we'll never know what his full list of. We think all of these underclassmen through these underclassmen are headed out for sure. We think these guys are staying and we can develop and we'll stick around. And so we don't know what crosses over on that list of who was in and out that they thought they would be. But I really think you're about out. I think even with guys that you're bringing in, I would be really surprised if Aiken left.
I would be too, but maybe not as surprised as you because I'm the one that brought it up. Big 12 Whiparound. Who else is standing out with the transfer portal?
What was that last note? I always want to do the noise you made.
Who is standing out in the Big 12 in the portal? Because to me, there's not a lot of positives.
I've got 3 teams.
Positives?
No, different.
Okay.
Different.
All right, go ahead.
I'll start with the negative. Kansas State. They might improve offensively.
They signed a few guys.
Well, I don't know.
They lost quite a bit.
Let me get my thoughts.
All right.
They might improve offensively. I really like the running back from Oklahoma State that they got, the youngster. Yep. Colin Klein taking over, I think, will utilize those weapons a lot better than the last regime did. So you can start there that I do think the offense is better. But, man, I don't know what they're going to look like defensively. And this is, to go back to Every Man a Whiner, what I think is hilarious. Like, they're yelling at you because you're in the conference, and I get it. I haven't seen them hate on Indiana, and they took both of their edge rushers, which I would have loved to see over here, too. That would have been really funny.
Yeah.
They just lost.
And they got the Oklahoma State running back and another guy from the Big 12. It's
But I look at their front, which was the most solid piece of their team this year. Like, they're losing everybody, either through the transfer portal or just through natural loss of eligibility. That is one that I am noticing and watching, but in a bad way. In a good way, Oklahoma State. Are you ready for the Oklahoma State mean green?
Yeah.
The orange mean green. Eric Morris, 14 North Texas commits so far, and that number could grow. Who knows? Just from North Texas, guys. I think it's going to grow just from. They lost. I mean, they culled a ton over there. I don't remember what the number was
60.
like. Yeah, I remember it was something ridiculous.
There are
over
60
50.
Oklahoma State Cowboys in the portal.
And that probably needed to happen. They needed a complete refresh over there.
Yes.
So, the biggest was bringing in 2 guys from North Texas, Drew Mestamaker, the quarterback, but also equally important, the running back, Caleb Hawkins. And they're also bringing their top receiver and their third best receiver and a couple of offensive linemen.
Yeah.
Like they're going to test if essentially last year's North Texas offense can compete in the Big 12. And they brought some defensive pieces too. But
James Madison competed in the Big 10 with Indiana. I am not predicting Oklahoma State to go 11-1.
I think that they're going to be vastly improved next year, and they're not even done. He's not even done.
He win one conference game and they're vastly improved, Clint.
That's fair. And then the one that's like in the middle that I'm curious about. If I went, that's a negative, that's a positive. I don't know what that is yet. Is Arizona State? You might go. You might go immediately. That's a loser, right? Tyson's going to the NFL.
It's in the portal.
Raleek Brown, I think, is going to Texas or is hanging around.
And Kanye Udo.
Yes, and then you're also obviously Sam Levitt is a piece, which that situation is just stranger and stranger.
Yeah.
We'll never know the full details of what that happened either. But anyways, then they bring in like Cutter Boley at the quarterback spot, who I think is interesting. He's a redshirt freshman last year. I'm not saying he wasn't as coveted as DJ Lagway, but there is a conversation to be had around him in the same thing because he completed a high percentage of his passes, 65%, 14 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, something like that. A lot of interceptions and like 26 sacks. And you go, okay, was that because Kentucky's, which they were, offensive line was bad.
Yeah.
But what does it have more to do with it? A bad offensive line and he was eaten alive every single week? Or was it more him? He's a young guy that obviously needs a lot of room to develop, but it's like, okay, that's an interesting piece. And then they get Omarion Miller from Colorado, one of the best receivers, and it's like, okay, well, they're selling something to him. They're bringing in, this isn't transfer portal, but they're bringing in the freshman from El Paso, like 60 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, plus like just under 10,000 total yards. ridiculous production.
Yeah.
But I think they're really excited about. I don't know, the Amarian Miller, that was the piece where I'm just like, okay, they don't have that many pieces, but if you're getting a guy like that, like what is the pitch there? And I just think it's not everyone's. We talked about it through the middle of the season. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but I think Kenny Dillingham is just a heck of a coach, and I think he knows how to get a lot out of his program. And I think it was good for the Big 12 that he stuck around through all of the coaching hires and coaching cycle, because I think I just think he's a really good coach that can find ways to win. And even when he was dealing with severe injuries, they were still finding ways to win. So I don't know. That's one I don't know what to think of yet, even which direction, but I could see it end up being a positive, or we could end up looking at them next year and go like, man, they're really missing some of those guys that they lost through the portal or through the draft.
The portal?
The portal. Oh, they lost him to the portal there, Robert. Yeah, those are my three.
I agree. If I could add one more negative,
Go for it.
Baylor.
Yeah.
They've lost all their starters.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Mm-hmm. And not all to the portal, but a lot of them to the portal. And some backups to the portal. I mean, they have 27 in the portal, and a lot of them were front-end guys.
The portal. All right, fan question of the week. As always, you can drop it on the link below. Appreciate all the thoughts and comments.
Hey, subscribe to the channel.
Subscribe to the channel. And even if you're coming back, if you're from an opposing team, and you want to come back and have a comment and end it with quack, quack, that's welcome. We appreciate the views.
The fans.
Yeah.
From other teams.
Yeah.
Oregon fans were fun.
They were. I thought it was.
You know what? Oregon fans that want to talk a bunch of trash to Texas Tech right now, you're the only team that's earned it.
Yeah. Deserved it.
Yeah.
I did. I don't always love the forced fan trash talk from week to week. Like every week is hate week.
Yeah.
I genuinely enjoyed the Oregon back and
They had
forth.
some good ones.
All right, fan question of the week. The other thing, you can also find Rob's Twitter, my Twitter, Double T973's Twitter. Just make sure to mention Red Raider Recon. What will the portal number end up being? I've seen that asked a ton.
17.
Let me just highlight that right
Oh, there it is.
Oh.
There it is.
I wrote down 24. No.
That's not nearly enough. I'm going 18. That's what Clement did.
I did write 17 to 18.
Yeah, I thought.
Yeah, I think if you're just doing...
Yeah, you're already at 8.
Math. Yeah.
You're already at 8. I think, again, we said 5 earlier. That's 13. And then I think, potentially 1 in, 1 out if anybody else gets in.
Well, you already mentioned, prediction, and this was before the Pitt receiver we already talked about in the program. Prediction-wise, coming in before we started, you had a prediction for Wendell Gregory. Strong one. Same thing for Mateen Ibaragba, the Wake Forest defensive lineman, and it felt like a pretty good shot. So if you just start counting those, we're already at the 10.
10, yeah.
Yeah, and here comes more that you're wanting to add, ECU guard and Ken Coleman that you're seriously invested in. And then, again, that's the other thing, too. That's not even... I do think that this is interesting.
Yeah.
The 5...
Why is that?
The 5-day window for the 2 national championship teams is very intriguing to me. Now, if it's like Indiana and Miami,
right?
I'm not saying their best running back is in the portal, but
I'd like to get that Miami wide receiver.
I just think there could be just a quick. There's a guy that enters the portal that just about everybody's interested in.
Yeah.
I just did the chicken dance with.
That's it for us. Next week, another portal update. Thursday, a basketball episode. When this airs, Texas Tech will have already played Houston, and then they'll play another Big 12 game Saturday, another Big 12 game following that.
And then another Big 12 game, and another Big 12 game. And we will also see you with a football episode when the portal window closes. We'll keep you up to date.
I would say the schedule moving forward will be the football episode Wednesday at 10 a.m. like it is all the time. And then sporadic basketball episodes either Tuesdays or Thursdays.
I would say pin down basketball episodes and then just plan on sporadic football episodes. Do you really want to do this now? You want to fight about this? Just kidding.